How long have you guys had this?
A year.
Almost a year.
It'll be a year in February.
It's when we launched it, but I think we had started recording.
Oh, it is February.
It is February.
A year ago.
Yeah, right.
Today's February 1st.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
It's insane.
So do you want to do intro or?
Well, no.
Okay. All right. Well, just welcome.
That's been a big debate lately.
Good morning,
as well.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is a good morning. Ready? Here we go.
Past the fire, past the sounds. Moonshine through the clouds. Saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
Oh, good morning.
Yes.
We're on. It is it.
Yeah. Welcome
And
to
it's-
another episode of Living Well Together, Big Life in a Small Town. We're here today with Richard Rich Johnson.
Yeah. Rich Johnson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you go by Rich.
Most people call me Rich.
I love that.
Since I was very young.
Which is different than wealthy. Rich and wealthy are not the
yes,
same.
let me be clear about that. It's certainly not because of my bank account.
See, you guys are going to go through this whole process today. I'm just going to sit here and make wisecracks.
Which
It's the
he's
morning.
really, really good at.
No.
That'll keep it light and fun.
It should be light and fun because we're just here to
Sure.
talk about you and your experience. And you're back from a 24-year journey in New York City, and you're back here in the Miami Valley. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here.
Yeah, tell us about how that all unfolded.
It's a great question. My family, my parents, we relocated from the Washington, D.C. area when I was a senior in high school. So I actually graduated from Beaver Creek.
No kidding.
That's for sure.
That is wild.
And I'm not going to give you the year.
I was
but
going to say, I'm not going to guess out loud
It was
either.
not
Yeah,
a
I
couple
didn't see
years
your
ago.
age on any
It was way
notes.
back in the
Age is
1900s.
not
Yeah,
listed.
exactly. And then I went off to university, of course, and then went back to the DC community for 5 or 6 years before I moved to New York City.
Okay.
And I lived in New York and worked there for 24 years.
Yeah.
So I've been coming back and forth to the Dayton area for 30 years.
Okay.
And my parents still live in Beaver Creek
So amazing.
in the same house they bought when we
Wow.
moved here originally.
That's awesome.
Oh,
But
my
it's
gosh.
now been renovated a couple of times.
I wonder who
There's
helped
a good
with
reason
that.
for that. We'll get into the
it
reason
was,
for
it was
that
good
as well.
practice for my career.
Yes.
Yeah, tell
And
us-
they're very
tell us
happy
what your
here.
career is.
So I'm an interior designer. The name of my firm is RVJ Design and Décor. And I founded it in New York City.
Okay.
And I've been working in design for more than 15 years. And I got into design really through the back door, but to be honest, I think I found myself when I finally started doing design full time.
I love
I
that.
was a marketing and public relations executive, and I was recruited to New York to work in the luxury goods industry with the fashion community 1st, and then in the beauty industry.
Let's do some name dropping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You get to do
terms
it.
of-
Working with who?
Well-
had cocktails with who?
Like-
been on the rooftop bar with who?
Well, there is a lot of that takes place.
I
I'm
can
not going to
only
lie.
imagine.
And it's like whether you live in Los Angeles or New York or places where you have, large numbers of celebrities or notable personalities, it's inevitable you're going to run into someone even in business and also personally. So, yes, there was some of that. And of course, living so close to Broadway, you get to
my
go
goodness. Yeah.
to the theater, and
Right.
I got to see so many incredible performances by actors and actresses, both from Hollywood that were making maybe a stage debut, as well as veteran Broadway performers. So that is something I miss, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm thrilled that Dayton has the Broadway series at the Schuster.
do, yes. And
We're
isn't the
really
Schuster
lucky to
incredible?
have a community where we is rich with opportunities to get involved in the performing arts, right?
I agree.
We have one of the oldest African-American dance companies
Yes.
in the country, DC.
Yes. My
You
our
know,
daughter
that's-
danced with them for a short time.
So fantastic. And not many cities, not only is it one of the oldest, but not many even have one.
Yeah.
Right.
So to have that plus the Dayton Ballet
Yeah.
and the Schuster and all those other things, it's
See,
made
we're
it.
we're not the hillbillies you ever
No,
think we are.
it's made the
Actually, we
transition
really are.
It's
easy.
booming, yes.
We're dressed up hillbillies.
Yeah.
Well, they call us flyover. This is a flyover state, right? From LA to New York, they just fly over us because
Right.
that's where the real world lives, and we just live in the middle.
Right. You're just running the
welcome to
country
the middle,
from here.
my
It's
friend.
the true epicenter. Yeah.
Well, we're the heart of it all. I mean, I love the shape
Yeah.
of our state, and I love that, I don't know if it's still our motto, but I do love that Ohio is considered the heart of it all.
Yeah.
So even if we're a flyover state.
It's a nice logo, isn't it? The heart of it all.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I've brought my heart back to the heart of it all. And I'm
Yay.
trying to make it work. But
And how long have you been back here?
I've been back here about 3 years full
Okay,
time.
3 years full
Yeah,
time.
so I came back temporarily during COVID to escape what
Yeah, you
Being
guys
was
Insane
a bad
asylum.
situation in New York
Yeah,
originally.
for
They
sure.
shut the city down,
Yes.
as everyone probably remembers. I think it was in March
Yeah.
of that year, 2020. And so I came back here. Of course, I quarantined for 14 days. I stayed with my parents. And then, life happened.
Yeah.
My dad fell into a medical situation that had nothing to do with COVID, and
Yeah.
he's not in a terminal situation by any means, but he's older, he's in his 80s, and life happened. And so I ended up staying 5 or 6 months
Okay.
while he was in and out of recovery and helping my mom navigate through the medical industry, which is challenging. And so we were affected by the COVID situation where you had to, stay out of the hospital.
Drop
You could
somebody
not
off at the door.
Yeah, drop someone off at the
horrible.
ER.
So horrible.
It's horrible. And then putting our hands on the glass
Oh my
and seeing
gosh.
if he was
Bro.
okay.
Images.
And
That makes
we
my heart
lived
sink
through
just
those
remembering that.
experiences.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, it
Yeah.
wasn't COVID related.
Yeah.
But still, life happened even with other illnesses that we've been battling forever.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You can still get a common cold and it's not COVID.
It's
you
so
can still
true.
get the flu and it's not COVID related all the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
he was dealing with something that was, pretty standard. But that was the beginning of making the decision to relocate here. And I think originally I thought it would be temporary.
Yeah.
And then it became more of a permanent decision. And so I rented a place here for a couple of years first. And then I bought a place in Centerville and spent 14, 16 months renovating it. I thought it was going to be a very quick turnaround. And this is
Yeah.
coming from a designer. I know what I'm doing. But it just snowballed because inevitably you uncover things that you didn't know were there.
And also maybe you're thinking more long term with the design too.
Yes.
And that it just can shift so easily.
Yeah.
So has living here and making the transition back to the Midwest, has it changed your approach to design?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a different marketplace. It's a different clientele. There are different needs
Yeah.
in a suburban community more than an urban community.
Okay.
And every client is unique, of course. If they have special needs children, if they have a lot of pets, if they do a lot of entertaining, one of the first things that I talk about with a potential client or a current client is how do you live in your home?
Yeah.
And how can we work around that or with that and incorporate it into the design plan? So lifestyles are very different here, as you can imagine, than they are in New York City.
Sure.
Even people who are incredibly wealthy there and are living in large square foot apartments, it's a different kind of lifestyle than a single family home in a neighborhood
Yep.
in a suburban area. So yes, I've had to adjust that. Obviously, pricing is different here.
for sure.
We don't have the retail spaces available to go into and see it.
Yeah.
People love to be able to sit on a piece of furniture and see the true colors of the fabric or touch the fabric. What is this going to feel like?
Yes.
And we just don't have the luxury of that in the Dayton market.
Yeah.
So that's been challenging. I do
So-
a lot more work online.
Describing what something's going to feel like is pretty challenging.
It's challenging, and then you have to build in the time it takes to get samples. Fabric swatches, for example. I have a client in Cincinnati that I'm working with right now, and it's taken us over 2 weeks to get fabric swatches. And they're anxious to order their new sofa.
Yes,
Once
of
they make the
course.
decision,
Yes.
we want a sofa,
And they
this
want
is
it
the
now.
one we want.
Yeah.
Then you have to look at, well, what kind of fabric are we going to
Yes,
use?
right.
And then what color of fabric and all those other decisions you have to make. And
Why
you
is
don't
it hard
want
to get
make that
fabric
without a
swatches?
swatch. They were out of stock. They said to me, well, you picked 4 of the most popular. And I thought to myself, but how do you run out of the most popular? Like, right?
Yes.
Who's managing your
Yes,
inventory?
we're out of chocolate ice cream for now.
But it is what it is. So
yeah.
design is a lot about patience as well, not only for me, but for the client. They have to have realistic expectations. So
Do you want to talk us through what it's like for a client when they start with you, how they get connected to you, and then what that looks like as far as like the interview process that you just described and how it kind of unfolds from there?
sure.
Like just for an average client, say trying to turn their master bedroom into a soulful sanctuary.
It's funny you mentioned that. I just met with
Pump the brakes.
a new
wife.
client a few weeks ago, and they want to redo their master bedroom, or the primary bedroom as we've referred to it today.
Right. Yeah.
So, and they want to completely redo it in terms of a color palette, which is very important in bedrooms.
For sure.
And the sanctuary is probably a good term for that. I always think a bedroom, even if you have a television in it, which I don't always recommend.
We don't.
We
yeah.
never
But
have, never will.
if you do have a TV, you still want it to be a place that's restful and relaxing, because design is more than just the aesthetic of what you're seeing in a space. It's also how subconsciously we're taking things in and the impact that it has on our minds, which then impacts how we live in our everyday. So a lot of my clients have come to me here in Ohio through word of mouth. It's been challenging to launch something in a new space, even though I've been doing it for more than 15 years in New York City, which gives
fresh
me
start.
a lot of credibility for
Yes,
sure. It's not always relevant in this marketplace. You have designers working here who are incredibly talented and have been here for their entire career. They may have even grown up in this area and decided to come back here after school and rear their families here and put their roots down here on their own. So
Big advantage.
some of that is challenging, but it's a friendly competitive. I always feel like there's enough business for all of us.
Oh, yes.
Sure.
Absolutely. In every industry, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I look forward to collaborating with other designers. And I recently joined the Dayton Society of Interior Designers.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh, that's
that'll give me
perfect.
an
Yes.
opportunity to get to know other people working in my industry and start to collaborate. But it was challenging to move here and establish my business, number one, but then building my network of resources. I mean, who's going to hang with the wallpaper?
Yeah.
What contractors are the best in the area? Painters, all the people you think about who are involved in a design process, whether you're doing an extensive renovation or you just want to redo a bedroom.
Yes.
So that has taken some time, but I've been very fortunate and very blessed with a lot of divine intervention.
Yes.
And constantly hustling and networking. I've been able to build that portfolio of resources. I call it being a concierge of resources,
Yes.
right? You're not just a designer, you're a concierge of
Yes,
resources.
a connector.
A connector.
Yeah. Yep.
And I learned that because I got into design through what I was referring to earlier, through the back door, because I had worked in fashion and beauty, and then I started a consulting firm, and I was doing marketing and PR, even in the sports arena and retail. And then I launched a home collection for a French designer. And everything started to come together. So I started to take some design classes, and then I got into high-end real estate, where I worked for the last 10 plus years that I was in New York for one of the top real estate brokers in
So you
that
did
area.
that layered onto interior design?
Yes.
Okay.
So
got
I
it.
was head of marketing there, but a big part of my job was the staging and design, because she worked with developers and builders as well as individual home buyers and sellers. So I would collaborate with architects and developers about layouts and floor plans, finishes and materials that we were going to be using. And then once you had an apartment completed, then we were in charge of the design process from top to bottom.
Yeah. So fun.
So fun. So
Yeah.
looking at the paint colors, the wallpaper, all the things that go into it, being able to collaborate with artists and bring in original artwork. So it was very multifaceted, and it was a great way to hone my skills. And I did as many as 30 to 35 projects a year.
I saw that in your notes, and I'm like, juggling 30 to 35 projects a year.
It was a lot. Now that was on the high side. It wasn't always that many,
Yeah.
but she was at the top of her game. She had been doing real estate for 30 years and is still doing it. And so she had a great reputation. But I think being diversified and also working with the development and building side of
Right.
things.
She had business coming from a couple of different streams.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's really where I honed all of that. And so I bring that to this community here, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
We may have gotten a little off track with your
So,
original question.
No, that's okay.
You know what though? It's all fascinating.
It's all fascinating, and that's the nice thing. It's like we're just sitting around our kitchen table, and you're just telling us your story.
Oh, I
right?
love it. Thank you. Thank you.
So it brought you like when you're working with those clients, then your new clients, and it's given you a lot of foundation to guide them, right? So what would be next steps for them? They connect with you and then you guys set up an appointment. Do you go to their home? Do you see the space first or?
I normally go to their home. So the first appointment is, there's no charge for the first appointment
Okay.
because I need to get to know you.
See if it's a
You
good
need to
fit.
get to know me.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a good fit in terms of personalities?
Yes.
Are your needs something that I can service?
Right.
You know, sometimes it's not something that I specialize in.
Gotta
but
know who's who.
hey, listen, can I point you in the right direction? Let me recommend this person or that person, which is another reason why it's been important to build that network of resources so that you can keep people plugged in.
Exactly.
But 9 out of 10 times I'm able to help them. But it's really about, let's talk about what your needs are. Let's look at the home. Is this a primary residence? Is it a secondary home? Is it an investment property? So we start to get all those details lined out. And then I would go back and write up a proposal and send that to them.
Yeah.
And they get a couple of documents. They get one that's about my firm
Okay.
and who I am, what my philosophy is, how I work. And then they get the actual proposal, which spells out sort of the scope of the project as I understand it to be, what the price point is going to be for that. And designers work in a variety of areas in terms of how they bill. Some people bill by the hour, some people bill by the project, and it really sort of depends what the scope of work is. So I specify all of that in the proposal, and then we contemplate that for a week or so, and then we have a follow-up call, and then if we decide to work together and you sign a contract, then we jump off and get the ball rolling.
Get after
I
it.
love that.
Yeah.
So if somebody said to you, well, Rich, I really want to work with you. I have $2,500. What can we do with that? Can you also take like what they have to spend and turn it into like maybe some touches here and there that will transform their space? Can you do work that way? Like when you come up with a proposal? Is that
Establishing a
possibility?
budget is one of the most important things.
Yes.
And we were just talking about when you were
Yes.
building this office, what was involved in that. And the process hasn't changed in 20 years. I mean,
Right.
some of this is kind of basic, and you have to establish a budget. Now, budgets, I try to overestimate because I want to be able to come in under budget, but I also want them to be prepared for the unforeseen. And it really depends on what's the scope of the work going to be? Is this a massive project where we're going to be doing a renovation, or is it just redecorating? And how extensive is that going to be? Do they want to get into custom furniture? Are we just rearranging furniture and bringing in a few new pieces? So yes, establishing the budget is very important. Can I work within all budgets? Most of the time. I think a big part of my job initially when you start to meet with someone is the education process, making sure they understand what's involved. They may not have ever worked with a designer before.
And that's where your contract is so important. Here's the expectation management piece.
Yeah.
Sign here, initial here. If it's not written down, don't expect it.
Yes, but you also have to be fluid in the sense that things change. And this is why the personality fit is so incredibly important.
Yeah.
And having come from a communications major in college and then working first in politics and then in, the luxury goods industry, you're always about coming from a place of service. And marketing and public relations is about communication. So I like to think I have good communication skills.
Yes.
And that's very important to me. So keeping them in the loop, making sure they really understand what it is, realistic expectations, constantly following up. I think if you ask any of my clients, I would hope, and I would think that they would tell you that I have good communication.
Yeah.
And they never have to wonder what's going on.
Yeah, which is fantastic. It's like you've combined two really important things together with that communication piece. And so you're also making sure in that first appointment that there's realistic expectations too. Like, when they come to you and they maybe don't have any idea what the cost might be, and laying that out for them so that they understand, this is the reality of what we're looking at here. And so I think that's so important too.
Right. And you have to be flexible on both sides, but certainly establishing the budget is very, very important. And I work within the budget for sure. And if I feel like it's going to go above, then we have a conversation about that. And part of that education process, they may have a number in their mind initially, but then as we start to have these conversations, I call it the onboarding process, really. And we're bringing the realistic expectation to that number. It's about making sure they understand what you want and how we're going to get there may cost this, and this is the reason why. And it's not always my fee. There is, regardless of what budget you're working with, Working with a designer is a luxury in the sense that you are paying for my time, my creativity, my expertise, my connections, my
Intellectual
vision.
property. It's not something that's hard, black and white. It is your creative
Right.
energy
That's
that
right.
has a price tag on it.
Right. So you pay for that service, but then you're also paying for whatever product you're going to be purchasing, whether it's a piece of furniture or multiple pieces or wallpaper. And,
Yeah.
you know, you also pay for those things. So it is a luxury, but it can be done within a budget.
Right. And that's what you were saying too, is that it shouldn't be just for the elite, right? You have
That's right.
your company motto. You want to share that?
Well, my company motto is elevating your everyday so that you live better. And yes, it's very important to me. It's a message that I'm very passionate about, and why I have loved bringing my talents and services in my firm to this marketplace, because it's exciting for people to be experiencing design and to recognize that they can work with a designer, that it can be affordable, and that they can live their best life in a better way.
Yeah, in their
our-
very own home.
Yes, and we were talking earlier about in the Great Recession with 2008, 9, and 10, the design industry was really decimated because people were losing jobs, they were losing homes, they were losing money. It was a very painful time for many of us. And even though that was a US focused problem, it affected real estate globally for sure. But then you fast forward to the recent pandemic with COVID, and design had a boost because people were not losing their jobs. They were just relocating to working from home. And I think the biggest challenge there was the mental capacity to be surrounded by your family members 24/7, finding ways for kids to do school, for you to do your work. Where
Alcoholism went up, drug abuse went up,
All of
domestic
it.
violence went up.
Right,
I mean, all
right.
of it. Literally, we
I
can
thought it
laugh
was-
about it now, but it was horrific
I
at the
I thought
time.
it was
Horrific.
very funny that very early on,
Yeah.
liquor stores in New York City were considered
Essential.
essential.
Yes. Walmart, liquor stores, and the vape shop.
Right.
Everybody got to stay open.
Right. Yeah. And I guess you couldn't
live
get
in a
COVID in
crazy
any of
world.
those places.
Apparently COVID ran away from liquor.
The alcohol kills everything. Yeah.
Holy cow.
So, so anyway, but because of that, there was a resurgence in design that I think is existing even to today.
I think so,
Whether that was people deciding that they needed to, finally upgrade in space and purchase a new home. And then it's been affecting, I think, how architects and designers and builders are looking at spaces, because people now think this could happen again. And even if it doesn't, if you're homeschooling, maybe you want to have a separate
Designated
area,
space.
a designated space for homework.
Yeah.
Not just for play, but for homework. And then do I need a home office space? What do we need in
case,
other than bigger closets, which is always the
Right.
case.
Oh,
right.
is that what everybody says? Bigger
always.
closets?
For men or women,
so
you need more
hilarious.
closet space. Yeah, always.
Yeah. I actually
Don't talk about it.
Okay, I was going to say, well, I am going to talk about it.
Yeah.
When Grace and Graham got married and Grace moved out, and I transformed her room into my closet.
There you go. Yeah. And I love
it's-
working with empty nesters and that chapter
we have
of
all
life.
these new spaces.
Super. Yes. Very fun. I have a client that I was working with recently, and they decided to transform the lower level into a workout facility. Why not?
Yeah.
Great.
We homeschooled the girls all through high school. And we had a corner of our lower level that was designated for their school space, like what you were talking about. And then once all those desks went away, we put in a 4-person sunlight and sauna.
Perfect.
Graham and Terry built it down
Yeah,
there. Like
nice.
it'll be in there for a long time.
Nice.
It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's all
Perfect.
kinds of things you can do with those spaces.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. And that's an exciting time in life.
It is. Yeah, every season can be, know. But I love the way you're making it real and tangible for your clients, like letting them know it's possible.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want anyone to ever think that they can't approach me. And perhaps in the conversation, it turns out that they're not able to afford to work with me, and that's okay too.
That's okay too.
I don't
But
have,
as a connector, you will probably know of somebody who will fit their budget and do a great job. So
Yeah.
part of it is, if not me, here's this person.
yeah.
And that's a nice network, probably through your design. What was it called? That you recently joined?
Dayton Society of Interior Designers.
Who even knew?
Absolutely.
Right?
Great
And now
resource.
you've got this whole connect the dots for lots of different people that you would never otherwise have access to.
But that's one of the reasons why I do an hourly rate as one option,
I love that.
because I can come in for X amount of dollars and just give you a consultation.
Right.
And that could be about color palette, if you're thinking about changing the color of your rooms. If it's looking at how your artwork is hung on the wall.
Yeah.
If it's how your furniture is placed, all those
so
kinds of
nice.
things can make a dramatic difference in a home.
Yep.
And it's not going to cost you a lot of money for me to come in and point you in the right direction.
Oh, that's such a good option for people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a full-blown makeover for a
Not at
house,
all.
because some of those little details that can make all the difference.
Huge
and really
difference.
And then they
transform the
know who to call when they actually do have a budget and want to make a bigger project.
Exactly.
You've already made
exactly.
friends. Super
and
smart.
everything is a multi-phase.
Of course.
Yeah. So, and sometimes those multi-phases, I have another client that we've done the dining room, and then we wait about 6 or 7 months, and then I did a powder room, and now we're waiting again. And that's because they're paying as they go. They're
Right.
not
Yeah.
putting it on a charge card. They're
Love
paying
that.
in cash. Right. So they're doing it in a very smart way.
Yeah.
So,
But working with you is going to keep the continuity of all those changes.
which is very important.
It's so
Yeah,
important. Otherwise,
it's
it
great.
looks pretty chopped up if you
Yes.
start working with people like willy-nilly,
Right.
So
Agreed. Agreed.
yeah, that continuity of space, I think, is just
Yes.
so important too.
Agreed. Yeah, that was
Lisa
a good
kind of
point.
has a background in design. I don't know if she's going to tell you that, but she kind of knows what she's up to.
This much, but it was kind of like you, Rich, where you started doing something and then
Yeah.
it kind of transformed into something else, and then it continues to evolve.
Yeah.
But yes, I went to Botter College down in Atlanta, Georgia, and got my Associate of Arts degree in interior design. I loved it. It was fantastic.
Fantastic.
I worked for a couple of commercial design places when we came back to Columbus. But then when Terry went out to chiropractic school, I worked for Ethan Allen for a year, and then our oldest daughter was born, and I didn't want to go back to school. I didn't want to go back to work.
Yeah.
So we started a catering business, which I got to use that design element throughout the
Absolutely.
catering.
That's
She
right.
has the gift of hospitality, this one.
Absolutely. I can see that.
She's got it going on.
Easy to believe.
It's just one of those things, but I love how we can recreate ourselves over and over again. But there's still that thread that kind of ties it all together. Like whether it was communication for you in the beginning, and you knew that that was such an important element for your design business and working with your clients as well.
You bring up some really good points with the continuity of design. I also look at it as what's the continuity of my life?
Yes.
If
So
you're
true.
not, if you aren't having people in your home, why not? If you love to entertain, if you are social, why aren't you having people in your home? The word brand and branding is so overused. It's like the word luxury. We tend to slap those things on everything. And really, is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if you think about every person can be their own brand,
True.
their own persona, how do you define that for yourself? And part of that is what you're talking about, the entertainment value, the hospitality value, your home environment. It's all connected.
Yes.
And science has proven that we react consciously and subconsciously to colors.
Right.
How do they impact the mind? There's a reason why legal pads are yellow. You know,
Yes.
there's all these things that people don't even think about that affect our everyday life. And the same thing is true when your home environment is organized or efficient, or how you like it to be aesthetically, that's meaningful. And then you are living a better life.
Yeah.
And it's not about keeping up with the Joneses, because
Amen.
every life is unique and special, and there's no right or wrong way. It's just different. And that's what makes the world go round. And we need to celebrate that in one another. But I think, to your point, the catering is another way to bring that element in, in looking at how something is presented. I use this random example a lot about cloth napkins
Yes. I love cloth napkins.
and fine china and whatever you have in your home that's tucked away in a sideboard, maybe in the
used once a
china
year.
cabinet, so you can at least see it and enjoy it. But yes, they bring it out once a year for Thanksgiving, or maybe for someone's birthday. And then you bring out the cloth napkins, if you even have those.
yeah.
So we consider that a luxury. But my point is, when I say elevating your everyday, elevate your everyday, whether it's just the two of you living in the home now, or if it's a family of 4, 5, and 6. What if you're not worthy of the cloth napkin?
You're worth it.
Why
You're
not?
worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. Yeah.
There's so much mindset stuff that goes into
Yeah,
that.
and
So
these are
much.
just simple things, but it is a mindset. It's a resetting of our mindset. And sometimes it takes a designer or a therapist or a chiropractor or someone that you're engaging with on a regular basis to help you think outside the box, because we all get consumed in the mundaneness of our everyday or the challenges of our everyday.
Right.
And something as simple as this just feels nice to have a
Yeah.
cloth napkin.
Yes.
It feels more luxurious, and then it makes that day worth it.
It
whatever
rubs
the
off.
struggle was.
It absolutely
Yeah.
does.
Or if
So
you
it's a
have
random example, but it's one I
It's a good one.
No,
though.
it's a good one. I think it's important that people realize that they are worthy of those types of things. It doesn't have to be just for a special occasion. Special occasion can be every day. You know, one of the things that I like to do with my clients, my wellness clients, is I do a lifestyle audit. And that's sort of like what you do with your clients when you first start out. You want to know how their lifestyle unfolds day to day. And so then once you have that information, you can turn it into something that's really
Yeah.
a powerful change for
I
them.
love the way you call it a lifestyle audit.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is when you first start to meet with someone.
Yeah.
And don't you think that most people dramatically underestimate their potential, or they don't think of them? It's not, every day is not special. For a lot of people, every day is just a grind.
Yeah.
But they have that specialness there that has just not been tapped into yet. So whether it's through design, or whether it's through health management, or whether it's just helping them express the value that they bring to the table that they don't yet know about,
Yeah.
is so fun.
Right.
I mean, you can see the light bulbs come off.
Oh,
That's
my
right.
Like, what?
That's
Yeah.
right.
When you
Something so
identify their
simple.
purpose and passion.
Right.
And helping them to like draw that out just in like everyday conversations with servers in restaurants even.
Yeah.
You know, what's your big dream?
I used to say when I would ride the subway all the time, you know, the challenge in New York is you're around so many people all the time.
Yep.
And you're walking everywhere, or you're taking public transportation. And the grind, as you called it, is so challenging there.
Yes.
It's magical and wonderful and awesome, but it's also very challenging and hard.
Yep.
And I remember those moments where I'd be on the subway and I would see someone with a pleasant look on their face.
Like, you
smiling.
don't live here, do you?
And
No.
but maybe they
No,
did,
it's a
and they
choice.
just
Yeah.
had found a place of peace either in that moment or in their life in general.
Yes.
And how that would minister to me and uplift me
I love that.
through the expression on someone else's face. And I believe in the power of energy. There's an energy on the planet that we're all subject to.
better
And it's
believe it.
been really challenging over the past couple of years, and not just because of politics. There's lots of other things going on that affect that. And we're impacted by that. And so you have to think about the energy that's coming into your home. And so I bring my personality, my energy into the home. So the vendors that I work with that are going to help facilitate the work, it's very important to me. Who are they as people? What kind of energy are they bringing into your home?
It is so funny that you say this. This is marvelous.
Well, and it resonates with us so
Well, when
to
we
a deep core.
when we put this building together, we talked about it briefly. But I told them we're sitting around the conference table in this little trailer, like a work trailer. And I said, I don't want you guys to think of this like you're building a building. I want you to think of it like you're birthing a building. And they were like, what?
These
And I said, well,
contractors,
think
right?
for a minute. I said,
Yeah.
if a mom was birthing a baby, would she smoke? And they were like, no, probably not. I said, I don't want any smoking in here. So
Or
once-
around the property. Yeah.
Right. Once the building is airtight, no smoking, no junk food, no wrappers on the property. You know what I mean? Like
take
keep it
care of
clean.
it like,
I want you to think of it like you're birthing this, because this is a place where people are going to come to heal, and it needs to be that kind of special place. And they at first thought I was a total wingnut, and I would pop over here like on the weekends when nothing was really going on. It was spotless.
Yeah.
They
They
did
were
everything
an
we
amazing
requested.
team.
Wow.
And I told you we finished a little ahead of schedule and on budget, if not under.
Under budget. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But
Amazing,
it's
yeah.
but it is about the energy that
But
you
I think it
desire
was
to
the
bring.
energy
Absolutely.
of starting out that way too, babe. You know, you set such a good foundation for them to work from.
Well, it was just the
And then-
parameters on which we
Yeah.
like to do business.
Right.
Yeah. And that's when I call it expectations, parameters.
Yes.
It's the same thing, making sure
Yes.
that we're all on the same playing field
Yep.
and have the same goal.
Yeah. Rich, you mentioned that you love to travel. You mentioned all the amazing places
You've been
that
all over the
been
world.
to. How has that impacted the way you do design?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's really helped me. I don't like think outside the box. I'm not one of these designers that only works in one specific aesthetic.
Yep. Okay, that's
And,
great. to
and
know.
a lot of people don't know that there are 35, 45, 50 plus different design styles. It's not just
50?
traditional, modern, and contemporary, right?
okay.
There's modern farmhouse, there's boho chic, there's Hollywood glam,
Yeah.
mid-century modern, minimalist, eclectic, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And when I give presentations about design, I often talk about the different styles and how can you determine that. So traveling around the world has helped me see how other cultures live.
Yeah.
I have brought things home, whether it be furniture or artwork or little tchotchkes that are meaningful to me.
Yeah.
And so my home is very eclectic. And I like that because
That
it's
does not shock me.
Well,
it's
Like
filled
one
with
tiny bit.
treasures that are meaningful to
yes,
me.
it should be filled with treasures.
I'm not one of these designers who is very, very minimal. I can appreciate that and I love it. You go through magazines like Art Digest or Dwell, we were talking about earlier. Any of the shelter publications, as they're called, that are meaningful to you, Veranda, Southern Living. You're going to see pictures that hopefully are aspirational and inspirational, and you may love what you see, but it may not be right for you in your everyday world. Like a tiny little platform bed on the floor is not that practical when you're going to have to bend over, as I'm saying
Or
this to
get
a
out of it.
chiropractor.
Yeah.
You have to bend over every day to make that. I mean, who wants that? But it looks cool in a magazine.
It does.
Sure does.
So I've really appreciated traveling around the world and seeing how different people live. And I get tons of ideas. Every moment of every day, I'm being inspired by something. And
Whether you're
I,
here in the Miami Valley or anywhere in the world.
anywhere. You walk into a restaurant like Sueños or Coco's or Tender Mercy or any of the places that have cropped up in the past several years especially, and you look at the decor of that, that's inspiring to me.
Yep.
And you can tell that they did put thought into it. It's not random in any way.
And it could be the use of color. It could be the finish. Is it a lacquered finish, something super high gloss, which I always love to
this,
use?
yeah.
Or, is it the furnishings or just a unique way to hang a light, a pendant? So I'm always taking in, and I always tell people you can be inspired by what you see in a hotel room, a hotel lobby, a restaurant, nature, and then traveling around other countries. So I've been very fortunate to travel internationally.
What's
I
your
love it.
favorite place that you've been? I know the answer, but I want you to
Hard.
talk about it.
Probably India.
Oh, India? I
India.
thought you had put Rome, Italy. Was that just the
Oh,
city?
well, Rome.
Okay.
Well, Italy is,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, if I
That's your
believed in
favorite
other
food, too.
lives, I would say I was Italian in another life for sure.
What is your heritage?
My heritage is Swedish and German and Irish.
Yeah.
I can see that.
yeah.
All of those things.
Total Anglo.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. But I feel like you have that passion that an Italian has.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just like I
Takes one to
connected
know
with
one.
Italian with design, I connected with Italian culture.
Yeah.
I just love it so much, and I encourage everyone to take a trip to Italy at some point in your life. There is
100%.
nothing like it. The food, the fellowship. We're talking about thousands of years of history, so the architecture, and Rome is so special,
that you
much
walk
like
in.
Athens, these historic cities where they are living around, ruins that have been there for thousands of years. It's
wild.
remarkable.
Not dozens.
And it just gives
crazy.
it such
And they
a
just
unique
retrofit
ambiance.
it. They just keep using it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We knocked down a 50-year-old building to make a new building around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And they just fix it and make
Yeah.
it happen.
So Rome is very special. I do love Rome.
so do
I
I.
could live in Italy the rest of my life. I really, really love it. But I will say India was probably, it's just very special. It has a very special place in my heart. I think
Whereabouts in India did you go?
I was mostly in Rajasthan, which is a very popular area for tourists. So I always
Okay.
recommend if you're going to go, that's a great part of the country to go to first.
Okay.
And there are a lot of famous things there. So we started off in Delhi, and then we went to Udaipur, which is the city of lakes. And they've filmed a lot of movies there.
Cool.
So they're very proud of that.
Yeah.
And we stayed in an incredible hotel there called the Taj Lake Palace. And India's the land of forts and palaces and mausoleums, and it's just very exotic. And so this was an old palace that had been turned into
that's
a
amazing.
luxury hotel that was really
How long
special.
did you stay there?
I was in India a little over 2 weeks.
Okay. I would think that with the type of travel and the amount of time it takes to get there, staying for 2 weeks would be like minimum,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It was a very long flight. This was back when I was living in New York. So we flew through London.
Okay.
And then went from London to Delhi. And then we were in Jodhpur and Jaipur, the pink and blue cities. We were in a town called Pushkar, and they have the world's largest camel festival. And we were there a week after it had ended, but there were a lot of remnants left over from
I
that
can
celebration.
imagine.
Yeah, so that was really fun.
But you didn't get spit on by any camel.
No,
That's
no, and I didn't ride a camel, unfortunately, but I saw plenty of them.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
they're definitely not the friendliest of animals, but they're super unique.
They
and
are.
the way they ornament them is very special. And we went to an elephant preserve. We got to not only ride an elephant, but really commune with the elephant for several hours, which was fun. And we got to bathe them and feed them, and that was really cool. And
when did you go
what
there?
else?
What year?
2016.
2016.
Yes, and I'm also a photographer, and I have photographed people and cultures all over the world. But India, I think, is also where that connection between me and my camera and my art really came together. And I'm really honored. Have been invited. There's a gallery downtown at Front Street called the Dana L. Wiley Gallery. Some of your listeners may know of it. She's been there for a while.
Okay.
And she's hosting a group show called Art Matters. And there are more than 10 artists participating, and some of which are world renowned. Their art is, collected by royal families and significant people. So
Yeah.
she's accumulated and curated an exhibition that's going to be really quite special. So I'm encouraging people to come down. There's an opening
What's the
reception
date? Do
on
you
first
know?
Friday,
Okay.
February 7th. There'll be the opening reception at 7
perfect.
o'clock, and all are
Yeah, that'll
welcome.
happen. This will go
And then
up
it will
before that.
be on exhibition from February 7th through the middle of March.
Okay.
And there'll be all kinds of artwork represented, including
Mm-hmm.
sculptures. And then I have 4 pictures
Oh!
that were invited to be in that show, which I'm
Amazing.
really excited about. Thank you.
Well done.
So I think
That's
people will really be
amazing.
able to experience it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
important for me, not only to experience art. I'm very big on art and collecting art in the local community and supporting that.
Okay.
And I think people would find out that you can have an art collection and you don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You can start small and work into that if that's something you choose to do.
And you do collect.
I also have an art
Art.
collection.
You
I
do.
do. And I started small
Yeah.
and I'm still small.
Yeah.
But and I've purchased, since I've been here over the past 3 years, several pieces from local artists.
Good.
And
Do you have a favorite? I mean, we
not
don't want to have
really.
favoritism, but
But it's a great question, and I'm sure that you always, I think not always, but there are a lot of people who connect to one particular artist, and they may collect that
Yes,
person
true.
and have multiples. I have a client in Cincinnati who loves one particular artist and has 6, 7, 8 pieces from that one artist.
I love Georgia
Paintings?
O'Keeffe.
Paintings. Yeah, he does. I think he paints with oil on canvas. He does beautiful work, and
So is
she's
this
known
somebody we
him.
should maybe have sitting around this table?
Possibly, I'd be happy to introduce you.
Yeah, local artists. We would love that.
Yes, and so I'm always encouraging people. I'm amazed at how many people still don't know about Front Street downtown, and how special that enclave is. It's a very historic area in terms of the buildings
Trying to think of
themselves.
where it is.
It's off
about
of Third, I believe, but
Okay.
it's called Front Street, but the address is First Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
Near
not-
the dragons.
Yeah, not far from the stadium.
yeah, not far from the stadium, not far from Second Street Market.
Okay.
So it's in
Got
that
it. Right
part
over
of the
there.
city.
Yeah. The Firefly Building, Body Garage is there, and that's kind of like between that and the
okay.
Dayton Dragons Stadium. Those are my points of reference when I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out where something is.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Well, that's so exciting.
yeah.
And so it's going to start. So it's going to start tomorrow because it'll be February 7th.
Yeah, next Friday. This coming Friday, February 7th, will be the first Friday, and
So will
that's
you be there for
all
the
year
opening?
long. It's the first Friday of every month. It's open to the public, and people can come into all the buildings. And these are actual working studios where artists are doing their work, and you get to engage with them and talk about their process and see their work. And you'll see a variety of styles and price points and mediums. You know, there are jewelry designers, glass blowers. Painters, sculptors, it's really
And they're
fun.
all in this
Photographers.
place? They're all,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
It's multiple floors and there is an elevator. So if people need an elevator and can't take the stairs, there is an elevator. And it's one of those, it's like a warehouse building.
warehouse
So,
building,
you
yeah.
pull the
Oh
gates
my God, how
together.
fun.
And,
I
it's really
love
fun.
this.
Yeah. It's
We're-
awesome.
We have to go.
We don't get out much.
I know. I'm like, how did
really
we
don't.
not even know? I
Yeah.
haven't even heard of this.
We just
But
don't.
this is what I love. This is absolutely what I love. I
Yeah.
love learning about you and learning about the things that you know,
Mm-hmm.
sharing them with us so that we can share with other people.
Look, it was very hard to move here from New York City, for
I can
sure.
only imagine.
But I wanted to get plugged in. I do consider myself a positive person. So I wanted to be able to take the lemons and make lemonade. Life happens. And I feel very privileged that I've been able to relocate here to be closer to my parents and to help them at this point in life, and that I was able to do that. It's been hard, both personally and financially, but with divine intervention and faith, I'm able to make that process work.
and are we blessed because
I feel
you're
really fortunate to have met so many incredible people, like our mutual friend Jack Keaton,
Yes,
for example.
exactly. Hi, Jack.
So it's just been incredible. And to be introduced to Front Street so early on in my years here has just been invaluable to me personally, as well as to my clients, because I take them down there to experience that. And that's part of my job as a designer, is to get them out of the home and into the world. They may not have even been to some of the retail stores that are here
Right.
that we have access to.
Yes.
Or going to Columbus and Cincinnati, which are larger markets with more things.
There
and
are,
more
and they're not
retail
too far
chains
away.
like Restoration Hardware, West Elm,
Yes.
Pottery Barn. I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to use those brands.
For sure,
You know,
of
of
course.
course. Yeah, it depends on what your
How about
style is and what
IKEA?
your budget is.
Right.
Sure.
How about IKEA?
I have only been to the
I'm
IKEA
just
here
putting you
once.
on the spot bad.
And I got lost in the maze that
know.
is IKEA, and I
think
was
they count on
starting to
I think they
And they got
hyperventilate.
food. You know, they got
And then they have
food
food that you
court,
can,
for the
regroup.
lost.
I think that it's really, I think it's a wonderful way to incorporate some cool looks. Maybe,
Yes.
my closets in that closet room are from IKEA.
Sure.
But I don't know that anybody would
that's
ever
okay.
know that they're from there.
Correct. It's how you
Yeah,
put it
it's
together.
how you put it together.
Absolutely. It's like fashion.
Exactly.
I also give this example. You remember, we will remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if all your listeners will remember, but years and years ago, Sharon Stone walked the red carpet and she wore a Vera Wang ball gown and a Gap shirt.
Oh, interesting.
And of course, she looked fantastic.
Of course,
Because she's
because
such
she's
a
Sharon Stone.
beautiful
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah, the clothes don't make the girl. The girl makes
That's
the clothes.
right.
Yeah.
But it was the first time that we saw in that kind of an environment this idea of high low.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in interior design. And oftentimes, especially now, you'll see trends in music, fashion that are carried over into interior design.
For sure. Actually, that's a question that I wanted to ask you because you had quite a long list of songs that you like too. And I wondered if any of the songs that are your favorites have like turned into a room in a home for somebody or for you even.
Oh, that's such a great question. Wow. No, I wish.
Like
But
if we
now
walked
you've
into
given
your
me a
living
great
room
idea.
and say, I really want to dance with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. However, I do use music
Yes.
a lot, and
Okay,
I'm
I
known
can
for my playlists.
Yes.
I have a playlist for every occasion,
I love
Perfect.
this so
every
much.
event.
Yes.
And it's part of the entertainment process. You know,
Amen.
if I'm going to have you into my home for brunch, well, we're going to have a playlist that's good music for brunch.
Brunch, yeah.
Yeah. And it might be my interpretation of that, but hopefully you'll enjoy it.
But it's
Most
your-
people say, I love the music, or they're hearing world music they've never heard before. Just like I'm inspired by every place I go, even locally. Same thing if I'm watching movies or TV shows and I hear music. Oh, I'm using Shazam all the time.
Yeah.
It's the greatest invention ever.
Forever.
Ever.
Yes. I'm
I
always so
love
bummed if I
Shazam.
miss it, like on a commercial.
Oh,
like,
totally.
dang.
Oh, and I rewind. What's the song? And it's not doing it. I'm holding it up to the TV. I need to capture the song.
Totally.
But that is how
Yeah.
I found so much special music.
Yep.
And you watch these shows that are set in other cities, like Emily in Paris, for example.
right, yeah.
Or, nowadays on Netflix, you can watch these incredible limited series and they're dubbing the English over whatever the language was, Swedish, Spanish, whatever. But the music then has a different kind of sound and flair.
Yeah.
So I pride myself on having good playlists and good music.
Yeah.
And I love
Magic.
that.
It matters.
But
I
I've never
100% agree.
designed a room or a
Yeah.
home around that, but I'm definitely going to keep that in mind.
Well, and it doesn't have to be the whole thing, but just maybe little touches that you know are there. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's kind of like those
Yes.
secret things like in Seinfeld where Superman is in.
Yeah,
different places.
Superman and
Yeah.
Portia are in
Yeah.
every scene.
Music is really good for, elevating your mood or
100% true.
keeping you mellowed out. So I do often have music in my office when I'm working.
Oh, I love that.
And sometimes it's an R&B mix, sometimes it's something a little
Vivaldi.
more sensual and soothing like Sade.
Yeah.
I met a young person recently who had never heard of Sade. How is that possible?
Well,
Wow.
we're becoming of that age.
Yeah. So it just depends on what the mood is. And when my niece and nephew were young, I would do what I called a 5-minute dance break
Oh, nice.
because we needed that every now and then.
Yes.
I think we need a 5-minute dance break.
Every day of life.
Every
we had
day
the
we need
disco
a
ball.
Absolutely.
We had the light ball. We would do dance parties at our
Yes, we did.
Right Avenue. We
Yep.
Yes, we had dance parties all the time when the kids were young.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but I think really from a health perspective and a way to reset your brain perspective, I think if we did it every day, that would be really smart.
Absolutely. Now, look, life is tough and it's challenging, but it's also thrilling and wonderful and unexpected.
Right.
And music can elevate that for us and it can pull us out of a funk
Amen.
and it can calm us down when we need it. So music is a very powerful medium.
Totally
Do you
agree.
talk to your clients about how to incorporate music into their room designs?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love it when they have a built-in sound system.
system.
I mean,
Yes.
not necessary.
Yeah.
But look, Sonos has revolutionized that,
Absolutely.
right? You don't
100%.
ever need to wire it into the ceiling or the walls or wherever.
Right.
You can get the Sonos speaker system, and their Bose has something very
my gosh.
similar.
Yeah.
and that can revolutionize how you entertain. But I talk to people to really entertain well. You have to think about the experiences happening even outside before I come in. What does the yard look like? If it's wintertime and holiday, are you using topiaries?
Yeah.
Do you have someone outside entertaining as I'm coming up? I love going to Soin Hospital because they play music in the
They
parking
do.
lot.
You hear the music as you're walking in.
Right?
It's like, yeah.
I thought
and it's
that was very
soothing
special.
music. Yeah.
Yes. So it's the same thing, thinking about the experience that someone is going to have from the moment they get out of their car before they even come into the door. And then are you there to greet them and welcome them into your home?
Yeah. Right.
And if you're not, who is?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Thankfully, we have a butler.
No, we do not.
we don't.
We do not have a butler for anybody wondering, oh my gosh, you have a butler. Only when we're
Jeeves will be
on
taking your
cruise.
coat.
Yeah.
And we have a valet.
Actually, we have used valets though for parties.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's
The girls'
thing. What's
weddings.
in your budget?
Right.
And there again, I, think about, I went to like a pre-event for the Wright State Arts Gala or something that they do every spring.
Okay.
And I went to a pre-event for that in the fall. And they had, of course, some young students performing. One was a vocalist. I think she's in their Broadway program.
gotcha.
And another one was a violinist, I think. Oh, no, a flautist. They were incredible, absolutely incredible. And then there was a little jazz quartet that was entertaining while we were walking around. And so I was having this holiday party this year, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to reach out and see if they would like to come and perform.
Sweet.
And it didn't work out, but that's the kind of thing I'm always encouraging people. Go to your local communities and see, and you can, for a couple
Wright
$100
State
or
Theater is
$300, it
amazing.
doesn't have to cost a lot
No.
of money. For a college student, $100 goes a long way.
It does. And what an impact it has on that party and that experience for
Yes.
your guests.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I encourage people, or dancers. Like, why not have a ballet person? Depending on how much space you have inside or outside your home, of course.
Right.
But really starting to think outside the box. Maybe having a local artist come and do paintings of people, or sketches, or
Yeah. I
So
love that
entertaining
idea.
can be so fun if you open your mind and think outside the box.
So you're really inspiring me. We're putting together a fundraiser for the school that Noble goes to, and some of those things would be wonderful to have as parts of this evening, this gala evening.
Yeah.
Using people locally and let them showcase their talents.
Absolutely. And when you think about putting together a live auction or a silent auction, which is often the case with a fundraiser,
Yeah.
why not think about having an artist that would either donate something or be
Yeah.
willing to discount their price a little bit for what they do,
Yeah.
and have them paint something original.
I know. I love that. Have you seen the artists that will go to weddings? I've only seen for weddings. I'm sure it could be for anything, but they do it on the spot. They are painting
Oh,
on
yeah.
the spot.
Yeah.
And so it's a live draw, and then the bride and groom go home with this
Right.
beautiful painting at the end of the evening.
How
Isn't it
cool
so
is that?
cool?
Yeah,
So
very
we
special.
could do that for the gala too. It could be just really, pretty contemporary looking, so that you don't have to have the details of the faces or anything, but just
Right.
the feel of the
Right.
event.
Right.
And then maybe somebody could, auction that at the end of the night.
And there are so many different types of artists in this community. I used an artist recently in a design project. We were looking for a very specific kind of wallpaper for the entry.
Okay.
And he wanted it to have movement, and we had dimension, and we had looked at so many different styles
Yeah.
of paper, and we just couldn't find the right one. And I got introduced to an artist, and he's a calligraphy artist.
Okay.
And he does the most incredible work. And he came into the home and he custom designed almost like a mural, but really it's calligraphy.
Yes.
That he puts on the wall in a very artistic way.
Yeah.
And so you can say to him,
Yeah.
I want these names or this Bible verse or
my
this
goodness.
mantra
Yeah.
in that. And it's not super obvious, but
Yeah.
you'll know it if he shows it to
Like
you.
the subconscious mind
meaningful.
catches it
Yes,
every
and
time.
it's a layering process. And now you have, and it looks like wallpaper,
Yeah.
but it's an actual original piece of art.
so neat.
It's stunning. This
Budget-
artist, his name is Etch, and
Okay.
he's incredibly
Etch.
talented.
Oh, I
Etch,
love
know.
that. That is so sassy and
That's his
cool.
art
Yeah.
name.
It's
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
And he's married and has a
Yeah.
daughter, and
Oh,
is very
that's
much
so
plugged
cool.
into the community, and he does all kinds of things. If
Yeah.
people are familiar with the Blueberry Cafe, I think it's
Yes,
called, and
Right.
in is it Sugar Creek or Bellbrook?
Bellbrook.
Yeah, he did the murals in there.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
so good
you
to
see
know.
his work all
Somebody
over the
come and do
place.
some graffiti in the boys'
Not
rooms.
Oh yeah, graffiti. Yes, an artist that did graffiti.
Yeah.
Not calligraphy. Yeah.
He does graffiti as well, but he's really a calligraphy artist.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible what he does. Yeah.
So neat.
So that's a way that I can incorporate it in. That's not just about a painting that you're going to hang on a wall or a photograph or anything else. This is another clever way to think outside the box and give my client something unique.
Super fun.
Yeah,
I think
that's very
our people
unique.
Are going to dig this episode.
Oh, I think so,
I hate
too.
to say it, but I think you're going to get like booked solid. Like,
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Rich, maybe this isn't the last question, but if budget and logistics were no object, what would be your ultimate dream project?
I would love to work in hospitality because I spend I spend so much time. I have in the past spent a lot of time traveling, and I really love good hotels. I understand when people say, yeah, but we're only in the hotel to sleep and we're going to be out and about. But for me, walking into a luxury hotel, or what I perceive to be luxury, it's the whole experience.
Amen.
And everything I do is about giving you an experience. So I think it would be super fun to design a lounge or a boutique hotel of
yeah.
some kind would be really, really special.
That'd be so cool.
Or work with someone on a really nice beach house. which
That would be
I
cool too.
have not done, and that's on my list of wants to do. Is
So
that
you'll travel.
secondary home market? Yeah, I think it would be kind of fun to do a thematic home that's not so stereotypical themed. Whether it's a second home in a ski location or a beach house, I think that would also be really fun.
Oh, so fun. Yeah, I love that. Anything else that you'd like our listeners or viewers to know about you, or what is coming next for RVJ Design?
RVJ Design and Decor. I guess I would encourage people, never hesitate to have a conversation. Investigate.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No money has been spent
Yeah.
to have a conversation. To treat yourself to even the privilege of a conversation, to talk about design.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be inspired just through that.
Exactly.
And also know that what you're seeing in a magazine can be achieved.
Okay.
And you can live that way. And yes, we can do it on a budget.
Oh, awesome.
That combination of high-low works well with a budget.
Yes.
And these retail brands, as I call them, like Crate and Barrel and Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma Home, there are some really elevated things there that have high price points associated with them.
Yeah.
And of course, there are trade discounts in place that sometimes I extend to the client.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I would just say don't hesitate to pick up the phone and let's have a conversation.
Yeah. Explore and discover.
Explore and discover.
Right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
This has
Living
been
well
so
together. That's exactly what this is. You know, we can all live well together.
together.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
This was so fun.
Well, thank you for having me.
so
What a
much
privilege.
for spending your morning with us.
It was so fun.
Yay. Anything else you want to say, babe?
No.
Are you going to like, subscribe, and follow?
Well, people should do that. Like, subscribe, and follow.
Have you already liked, subscribed, and followed?
Not today. Previously.
Thank you, Graham.
You can only
This
see
is
my
great.
name so many times.
Okay, friends. We'll see you later.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay, good job, Rick.
Oh, gosh.
That
really?
flew by. That was 1 hour.
Yeah, that was one of
That
our
went by
longest
fast.
Yeah, that flew.
episodes, and but it
Wow.
was great.
Well,
it was,
thank you.
It was,
That was
really full of
That was
little
really fun.
nuggets and treasures that people
Yeah.
will enjoy listening and hearing.